he provides all sorts of different information. But what I would say is that Jonathon is not so concerned about names and places and dates and historical facts, shall we say, or what is written into our history books. This is not of concern to him. If people have a question where they're trying to pin Jonathon down to a particular name or a particular date, he'll usually wave those questions off. It's not his forte. It's not where he wishes to spend his energies, right? Where he would like to spend his energies is working with what's currently like a belief that the person holds, or a series of habitual thoughts that a person has, right? When they speak, people typically give their psychology away, shall we say, through their choice of words. And Jonathon picks up on this right away, and he understands through their choice of words what the limitation is, what the issue is, what the blockage is, right? And so he goes to address that specifically. It isn't so important data to Jonathon. What's important is, where are people at in their lives, right? What are they experiencing? What are they feeling? What are they thinking? What choices are they making, right? And to introduce to them other possibilities, other choices that they could be making. Perhaps give them the opportunity to reflect on how they think, right? And a lot of how a person thinks has to do with the language that they choose. And so he'll introduce a different way of saying things. I know one of the things that he talks about a lot is this idea that, and I'm using my words, of course, Jonathon speaks very differently in this way, but he would say the subconscious doesn't understand negative, doesn't understand no. And so if you are trying to help someone and you say, for example, they could be on a slippery patch of sidewalk or whatever, and you say, don't fall, this is a problem. And that's because, and this is, pure neurolinguistic programming as well. But the problem here is that when you say don't fall, someone has to consider the idea of falling. And so they bring the idea of falling into their mind. The not part in that is ignored primarily, right? And so typically what will happen when you admonish someone to not fall is they might well indeed fall, right? But what Jonathon is doing is he's trying to show how the actions that one takes are following the words that they use, right? And so this is his most direct teaching. And this is, I think, from my perspective, where he's most effective at, is really highlighting how people talk, which shows how they think, which shows what beliefs they hold. It also shows what their preferences are, right? And so as all of these things are identified, there is a waking up that happens for the person typically, not always, but typically. And from there, they can begin to choose other words that they speak, other language. And by choosing deliberately other language, it changes the way that you think. And by changing the way you think over time, you actually change your belief systems.